Welcome back to First Move, and empowering small business to do big things. That's the mission of Indonesia's startup Ula. The e-commerce marketplace allows family-owned kiosk businesses to digitize many processes. It provides an app through which they can manage capital, inventory and delivery. It launched in 2020 and business surged, as you would expect, during the pandemic. Joining us now is Nipun Mehra. He's the CEO of Ula. Great to have you on the show. Just start by explaining the vision of Ula.
Thanks for having me. We're an Indonesia-focused B2B e-commerce company. What that means is, and I'm trying to explain a little bit in terms of the millions of kiosks and retail shops that are around the neighborhoods of Indonesia. These are small mom-and-pop stores that are selling grocery and other items to their neighborhoods. They're now coming into the ambit of the digital world. We see them using smartphones, we see them using apps such as YouTube, TikTok, and so on, and we felt, well, the next frontier is commerce. And they're incredibly resilient as a segment, and personally for me, having worked in e-commerce, I know that they offer advantages which we don't normally see in either big retail companies or in big e-commerce companies. By marrying their advantages to the world of technology, we want to create a new form of retail that looks different from what we've seen in the evolution of what we've seen in the US or China, for example.
In what way? I get what you're saying, and we're talking about lots of these little kiosk businesses that traditionally only have people walking up to them and then they buy what they can see. So the idea of being able to expand your product offering and digitize how you're even running inventory is a huge opportunity. But why is that any different from what you see in the United States, for example, or in retail in China?
Yeah, wonderful question. When you imagine the small mom and pop store in a place like Indonesia, they're really tiny, and most of the places these stores are operating from are owner-owned and run properties, meaning that they don't pay rents, they don't have large armies of employees. They're literally micro entrepreneurs, small families running small shops. They have barely any air conditioning or any utility bills or taxes to pay. So they're incredibly cost efficient. And the second thing that they have going for them is the neighborhood relationships that they have. They literally know which person lives in which house, who has which kid going to which school, and the level of detail is so personal, which a Walmart or a Costco might, kill to have. So it's those advantages have been there forever. What's changing now is that they're adopting technology to do their own commerce. And that has three elements for us. One, helping them source better. Two, helping them manage working capital better, because at the end of the day, they have to carry inventory. And three, can we help them aggregate demand in their neighborhood better using digital means?
I mean, you launched this in 2020. It's either the best or the worst time in terms of capturing what you were trying to achieve, because it was suddenly on steroids in terms of this shift to digitization and trying to maintain a business for many of these people too. Okay, so, I mean, we're only talking about, 18 months worth of data, but what can you tell me about some of the growth and the improvements that you've seen for the people that are using the platform, and give us the numbers. How many people are using it? What kind of growth have you seen? Sorry, that was a lot of questions, but now I'm very excited.
I'm used to those, as you can imagine. Numbers have been pretty strong, and I think at some level even we were initially surprised but then when you think about it, it's pretty obvious. A store is actually an offline entity, and you'd imagine that in the pandemic they would have shut down. But then on the other hand, they are the only or the primary source of daily necessities to their neighborhood. And they're run by human beings who are equally afraid as any of us of catching the COVID in 2020. So we saw maybe a faster than what we had expected adoption. And what's interesting for us is that it hasn't particularly eased after the COVID restrictions ended, which means that it may have caused a structural shift in the way consumption is happening, or at least in our segment, the consumption is happening. What we've also seen is the stickiness element that comes. So in terms of numbers, we now have about, give or take, 200,000 odd registered stores. or different entities that are trying to do a reselling business. And these and a lot of the stores are finding the uniqueness of maybe what I would call the Amazon moment, just being an ex-Amazon person myself, of being able to get a lot of selection, different products all on one platform delivered straight to their store. So they no longer need to go to crowded markets, which is where the problem with the pandemic had happened, because going like well, wasn't even possible, and even if you did try it, you ran the risk of getting COVID.
Yeah, okay. I mean, there's so much in there. I guess the obvious question, and I have millions of them now, is how specifically do you make money? And our viewers will notice that I keep putting up on the screen that you raised an incredible amount of money, $140 million, through this phase for expansion. How is the conversation with some of those big investors? And they're incredibly well-known investors in the region, and Jeff Bezos' investment fund was one of them. How is the conversation about profitability, expansion, evolving at a time when we're looking around the world and wondering if we're going into a global slowdown? Because that's an additional challenge for a startup that's growing fast, and specifically in this region.
No, absolutely. So we've been privileged, and I would say, on air, I'm very grateful to the people who decided to back our vision. It's definitely a long period vision to be able to realize that. So very, very grateful for backing us. We've raised about $140 million over 3 rounds, and some of the investors have been pretty famous names. But I think a lot of that was because of what people saw in the data, what people saw in the vision. And there is a real shot at saying, okay, this is a new way retail may get done in emerging markets. Now, I feel it's too premature for Ula to say that we are the ones who will shape that future. I hope that day comes, but candidly, we're heading in that direction. As far as profitability is concerned, we're profitable in pockets, as most startups should be doing, is knowing which are the profitable pockets, amplifying those, and over time trying and testing and maybe winding down the parts that don't turn profitable as much. So far what we've done has been execute to a brick by brick plan. We never really had that blitzscaling thing, because we're an offline B2B business, meaning we literally have to go district by district, neighborhood by neighborhood. There's no way for us to carpet bomb with digital ads or whatever. So we do have to build brick by brick, and that helps us stay sober in times when things are up or when times when things are down.
Yes, level-headed, but excited, I think, about the growth of this business going forward. Come back and talk to us soon, please. It's going to be fascinating to track your progress. Nipun Mehra, the CEO of Ula. So thank you.